everybody, good evening and welcome to your very own BYJU'S 6th, 7th and 8th grade channel. I'm your teacher Aishwarya, and in this series of Exam Edge, we are going to be covering the chapter Respiration in Organisms, where we will do a complete revision of the chapter and discuss all the important concepts, and of course we will finish off our class with a live Menti quiz. So I hope all of you are excited for today's class, and very quickly students, please do let me know if my audio, my video and my screen and whatever I'm writing on the screen is visible to all of you. If it is, students, give me a quick thumbs up to let me know that we are good to go. So as the chat gets set up on my screen, I will quickly let you all know. So Ranjit, can we please set up the chat? Yes, awesome. So as you all know, Exam Edge is the premier place, right, wherein we have all your half-yearly prep happening. And of course, with this week, we conclude all the biology chapters as well with respiration and organisms. And as we know, this chapter is a very simple chapter, but at the same time, we know that this is very, very important on an examination point of view. So good evening, all of you. Good evening, Bhavya. I can see TK Gamer, Art Originals. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Yes? Good evening, Purvi, Meeba. Yes, very good. So are we good to go? Can you quickly let me know if I am audible, I am visible, and can we please increase the font size as well? Good evening. Yes, everything is good to go. So now, of course, I know that many of you here, right, as you all know, at 7 p.m. sharp, I come live on Tuesdays, where we will be discussing all the biology aspects, right? And what can we expect in my class today, of course? So first and foremost, as we all know, right, in this particular class, I will be doing the important concepts, and of course, I will be having a quiz. Now, as you can see whenever you come to my class, one thing that I would like all of you to do is to have your notebooks and your pens ready with you. So your notebook, your textbooks, keep that ready because this is going to be important. And as I tell you all the important concepts, you can mark it down in your textbook. Next up, have your stationery, which means have your pencil, scale, sharpener, eraser. All of this you can you can have it ready for the class because again, this will come handy and you don't need to run in between to go and get it. Next, of course, have your water bottle because drinking water is very, very important, and stay at a quiet place. Now, students, I know that many of you, right, are very, very excited for the class, right? And for many of you who are asking me, yes, of course, we are going to be having a Menti quiz today. It is going to happen, right? Akshata and many others who are asking me, Menti is happening today. So now, of course, right, when the Menti quiz is happening, right from the beginning, if you are going to start asking me to do the quiz, it's going to be difficult. Because what will we do first? I am going to cover all the important concepts, right? We are going to revise the whole chapter first. Only then will it make sense for us to have a Menti quiz. So for the first 20 minutes of today's class, I request you not to ask me to get to Menti because I will be revising. What is Menti? As we all know, it is a live platform where live quiz can happen, right? And of course, one very important thing is that when I am revising the chapter, I will take all of your doubts, right? I will try my best to take as many doubts as possible. But sometimes if I'm going to start the chapter and you have a doubt, let's say in breathing in animals, it will take me some time to come to that point, no? So because it's going to take me some time, I may not immediately answer that doubt. Doesn't mean that you say, ma'am, you are being very mean to me, you are not answering. That's not the reason, now because I will anyway be teaching this, yes? Which is why it is very, very important that all of you pay attention to me, yes? Please pay attention, and when you listen to me, what is it that I always tell you? Listen to me, right? Pay attention to how I teach and what I teach, because to be honest, I try to simplify it and I make it as easy as possible for all of you. And when I make it as easy as possible, and of course, right, when I simplify the concepts, trust me, it will be easy. Just pay attention. Yes? Are we all ready for today's class? Arey, I'm not serious. I'm just not keeping that well. That's the only thing. Yes. Are we clear? Okay, yes, and thank you for saying ma'am does not ignore. Exactly. So for everyone, I hope you are excited, and of course, as we all know, right? As we all know, I hope you are all ready. Yes, awesome. Okay, to all my new subscribers, new students who have joined my class, right? As we all know, because as you can see, you are all very new. If you enjoy the class, don't forget to hit the like button on the video. And of course, many of you are asking about Khushbu ma'am. Khushbu ma'am will be addressing all of you very soon. But Khushbu ma'am is also teaching for the higher grades, right? Which is why Khushbu ma'am will be coming and talking to all of you very soon. Don't worry. Yes, ठीक है. So let's get started, everybody. So let's get started. Now, Naomi, Khushbu ma'am is still with us, but she will come and talk to you. Yes? So now, of course, a quick reminder, we will be having homework heroes, which means towards the end of today's class, I will be giving you a homework question, and I want all of you to say that I'm a homework hero or I'm a homework warrior, and you can let us know in the comments and give us the answer, and a few lucky students will get the chance to be featured on our community post, right? So tomorrow you will have the homework warriors for the previous week, and next week you will have the homework warriors for the current week. So everybody, we will get started. First up, we will get started with chapter revision. Yes? So first and foremost, let's discuss the chapter revision. 20 minutes may we will finish off the chapter revision, right? I am not going into in-depth explanation. I will only be giving you a summary, right? So I really hope all of you have read the chapter and you have come, okay? This is with the understanding that all of you have read the chapter. Yes? Okay. So let's get started, students. Now, as we all know, today's class is going to be based on cellular respiration, or this chapter says respiration in living organisms, right? Now, of course, when we talk about respiration, what is the first word that comes to our mind? Sayanchi, this is life, right? Aditi, yes, good evening. So when I say the word respiration, what is the first word that comes to your mind? I want you to think about it. So many of you are telling me, ma'am, breakdown, ma'am, breathing, okay. Then I can see there is somebody of you telling me cell. Some of you are telling me energy, oxygen, breathing. Very good, ma'am, breathing. So whenever we talk about respiration, we think of the word breathing. Now, if I ask you what is breathing, okay, students, you are telling me that, ma'am, when you tell the word respiration, I am thinking about breathing. Then if I ask you what is breathing, then what will you tell me? What is breathing? Yes. So many of you are now telling me, ma'am, inhaling and exhaling. Okay. Breaking down of glucose, taking in of oxygen. Okay, very good. Lot of interesting questions coming. Lot of interesting answers coming my way, right? Now, surprisingly, I saw that very few of you have given me the answer as energy, right? Now, very few of you told me the word energy. Now, if you talk about respiration, it is a process, right? So, it is something that happens within my body, your body, every living organism. If it exists, it is because of this process of respiration, right? Now, if I have to talk to you, or if I have to write on the screen, or if you have to type and send me whatever is there in the live chat, to do all of this, you require energy, no? If you don't have energy, will you be able to do all of it? Absolutely not. Which is why in this case we see that the process by which we get this energy to do whatever activities that is, whether it's on the outside where I'm talking to you, writing, typing, whatever it be, or for the activities that happen within my body, right? All the activities that are happening within my body also need energy. I would not say all, but most activities that happen within my body require energy. And this process by which my body obtains energy is what I call as respiration. So how will I get this respiration? How will I get this energy from? Now, earlier in our previous chapters from the nutrition chapter, we have learned that food that is there is the fuel. This is my tagline, as I always tell you. Food that is there is the fuel that drives our body, right? And what is there in my food? Very good, Art Originals. What is there in my food? In my food, I have nutrients, right? They are important components. Now, of course, in this particular case, right, as we can all see, there are some energy-giving nutrients, right? So, what are my energy-giving food? Can you tell me? What are the energy-giving food or the energy-giving nutrient? See, we have learnt about this. Food has various nutrients in them. What are the nutrients? We have carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. Now what are my energy giving food? Yes, very good. It's my carbohydrates and it is my fat. Now between my carbohydrate and fat, which is the nutrient that is going to give me instant energy? That means as soon as I digest this, I will get in, or as soon as my body gets this nutrient, my body has the ability to convert it and get instant energy. What will that nutrient be between carbohydrate and fat? Which one will it be? Exactly, it is going to be my carbohydrates, right? So we say that carbohydrates are the energy giving nutrients that are there which provide our body with instant energy. Now of course one type of carbohydrate that is there is glucose, right? And we know that our body, so from the previous chapter, what did we learn? From our previous chapter, we have learned about a very important process which is called as digestion, right? So we have learned about a very important process called as digestion. Now what is digestion? Digestion that is there is nothing but it is the breakdown of nutrients, right? Or I would say it's the breakdown of complex substances. Yes, into simple soluble forms, right? So it is getting broken down into simple soluble forms. Now of course, right, what do we see? Now of course, as we all know, during this process, this digestion process happens because my body is not able to utilize carbohydrate directly. Which is why we see that it is important that we first break it down into something easy, and then we utilize it. So here our important percent that we need to focus on is glucose, right? So we see that from glucose, or when there is breakdown of glucose, we see that when this process of breakdown of glucose takes place, it will release energy. And this process is what we call as respiration, right? So as you all see, we see that respiration is nothing but the breakdown of food or glucose in order to release energy. And this takes place inside the cell, right? So this takes place inside cells. What are cells? Cells are what basically make up my body, right? So we see that cells are nothing but what make up my body, and they are the structural or the functional units of my body, which is why this process is happening inside the cells, right? Which is why, as you can see here, it occurs in all cells of the living organism, right? So we say that it happens inside. Hello cell study, hello, right? So we call this process, because it's happening inside the cells of my body, it is called as cellular respiration. So this is a quick summary of what we have just discussed now. Now, one thing to understand is that there are two types of respiration that happens. We have aerobic respiration and we have anaerobic respiration. Now, in both aerobic and anaerobic, what do we see? We see that in both cases, we observe that there is breakdown of glucose. Then why are we saying that there are two types of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic, right? Why are there two types if in both cases I see breakdown of glucose? What is the difference? Can you tell me? Very good Nazombe, very good Arushi, very good Neha. Yes, very good, right? Yes, very, very good all of you. Now I see the answers from Tishan, Disha, Christine, Akar, Shambhavi, Art Originals, Yashika. Amazing. Brilliant all of you. Brilliant, right? So in the case of aerobic respiration, what do we see? Aerobic respiration is a type of respiration wherein the breakdown of glucose takes place in the presence of oxygen, right? And we see that glucose will be broken down in the presence of oxygen to produce energy, right? And we see that it gives out byproducts like carbon dioxide and water. So as you can see, organisms which have the ability to do this kind of aerobic respiration are called as aerobes, right? So we call them as aerobes or organisms that have the ability to do aerobic respiration. Now what do you think about humans? Do you think our body does aerobic respiration? Yes or no, right? Does our body utilize or performs aerobic respiration? Yes or no? Everybody tells me, ma'am, yes, our body does aerobic respiration, right? So here aerobic respiration, as we know, right? We know we do aerobic respiration. How? Because earlier you remember when you told me, ma'am, breathing is there, right? What is this breathing? Breathing is nothing but the physical process of taking in air and giving out air. And the air that we take in is rich in oxygen, which is why in this particular case, we know that most cells of our body do aerobic respiration. Now, ma'am, is human equal to anaerobic? No. Most of our body, right, or in most times our body performs aerobic respiration. That is what we need to understand. Now I have a question for all of you, right? Many of you who asked me, ma'am, H2O is a ethyl alcohol, right? Is H2O ethyl alcohol? No, H2O is water here, right? What is CO2? CO2 here is carbon dioxide. Now here they can ask you, right, what is aerobic respiration? Describe in 2-3 words. So you could get a 2 mark from this particular topic. So students, please star mark this point. Now one more thing that they can ask you, right? One more thing they can ask you is, how is aerobic respiration different from anaerobic respiration? Right? So here we see that in aerobic respiration, we saw that there was a presence of oxygen. While in anaerobic respiration, what do we see? We see that there is an absence of O2, or you can say that there is a deficiency of oxygen. So it's either lack. So when I say deficiency, don't get worried. It means that there is lack of oxygen or no oxygen. Kavya, to an extent, yes, it is similar to that. It is similar. Okay? Very good. Now I had a question from Ira, right? Ira, I hope I'm getting it right. Ma'am, what about this structure called as mitochondria? Now, of course, in class 7 CBSE, you don't have the details of mitochondria, but I'll quickly tell you. So basically, when I say that glucose is broken down in the presence, right? When I say glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen, that process happens inside a structure called as mitochondria. Now the mitochondria is a structure, or it's a small part of the cell which is present inside that does the process, right? So it's as simple as that, okay? And we say that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Easy peasy, yes? Now, like I told you students, very important question. Differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. This can come for 3 marks easily, right? This can come for 3 marks. So this right here is very, very important for all of you to know, right? Differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So now we see that anaerobic respiration is where it happens in the absence of oxygen, right? Now normally we see that this kind of respiration is seen in organisms like yeast, right? What is yeast? Yeast is nothing but a type of fungi that is there, right? And we see that here what will happen? Glucose is taken down, or it is broken down in the absence of oxygen to give me alcohol. Now I remember Neha asking me, ma'am, is ethyl alcohol and alcohol the same, right? So I have ethyl alcohol, I have ethanol, right? And I have something called as alcohol. Now as we all know, right? As we all know, we see that all these 3 that are there sound different. But ethanol and ethyl alcohol are the same thing, right? It's just a different way of writing it. 1. 2, alcohol that is there is a general word, right? So it is kind of like telling there are living organisms, and under living organisms you have human beings, plants, you have animals, right? So we have one way of doing this, no? So as we all see, alcohol is a broad way of representing it, but there are various types of alcohol, right? So I hope all of you are clear with this. Are we all clear? Is fungi a unicellular organism? Yeast is a unicellular fungi. That means the only type of fungi that is unicellular is yeast. While in most cases fungi are multicellular. That means they are made up of many cells, right? Very good. Are we clear? I can see questions like on trachea. I can see questions on lactic acid, which I'm about to explain. I am just about to explain. I request your patience, right? That's all I request. Okay. So now, of course, from this, what did we understand? We understood that anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of absence of oxygen, and breakdown of glucose takes place. And here it happens in the case of yeast, right? And such organisms which have the ability to survive even in the absence of air or oxygen is what we call as anaerobes, right? Important terminology to remember. Yes, I will get to that. I will get to that. Now, next up is the question that many of you have. Now, I just told you that the human body that is there mainly performs aerobic respiration. But in some rare cases, we observe that our body also has the ability to perform anaerobic respiration. Now, you will think, ma'am, when is it that we are out of oxygen? We cannot survive if there is no oxygen. So, does anaerobic respiration happen only in the absence? No, we saw that it can happen even in the lack of oxygen or enough oxygen. Now, when will this happen? Very good, right? So, whenever we are doing running or when we are doing heavy exercise, right? So, when we are doing heavy exercise, what do we observe? We observe that for a brief period of time, when I am doing all this exercise, no, my body requires lots of energy. Energy that my body requires is very, very high. But the amount of oxygen that I am getting is not enough to produce this much energy. So what do we see? We see that there is a temporary deficiency of oxygen, right? So this word is very, very important. So we see that there is a temporary deficiency of oxygen. And because of this, what will happen? Our body cannot be like, hello, I don't have enough oxygen, so sorry, I'll not make energy. Our body will not do that. No, our body will still push itself to get that energy for us. Which is why what will we do? We see that in such cases, our body, and especially which part of my body will do? My skeletal muscles, right? All my muscle cells that are there, they will switch to anaerobic respiration. And what will happen? We see that this breakdown, we see that glucose that is there will be broken down in the absence of oxygen, right? Or I would say in the lack of oxygen, and it will give us lactic acid as a byproduct and produce energy in the form of ATP, right? What is ATP? Many of you were asking me. So far I kept saying energy, energy, energy. This energy is nothing but ATP, right? So as you can see, ATP is nothing but adenosine triphosphate, right? So it is the energy currency of our body, or as you can all see, this is going to be this is basically how our energy is getting utilized, right? Kusma Shetty, I mentioned this in the beginning of the class. I will first be doing a revision and only then Menti quiz, right? Yes, very good. Now, we know that this lactic acid is produced. Now, at times what will happen? We know that this lactic acid that is there can get accumulated. So, if this is my hand, right? So, if this is my hand, what do I see? We know that the lactic acid can get accumulated inside my muscles. And if lactic acid gets accumulated, that means it will cause muscle cramps, right? So, accumulation of lactic acid is going to result in muscle cramps. Very good. Now, if that is the case, how will I get rid of my muscle cramps, right? How am I going to get rid of muscle cramps? Can you tell me? I will give you the alcohol equation. Yes. If this is the case, right, how will I do? Or how will I get rid of muscle cramps where my muscles are aching and it is paining? Massage, okay, very good. It needs a massage. Then what else will you do? Everybody is telling ma'am do massage. What else? There is one very important word. See, this is going to come in your exam, okay? There is a person who has lactic acid muscle cramps. What will you suggest, right? What will you suggest for him to get rid of it? Put oil, warm water. Very good. Exactly, right? So here that is what I was looking for. Hot water bath. How many times has it happened to you that you've gone, especially on, when you have long vacations like summer vacation, especially during summer vacations when we go out to play with our friends, we'll go out, we'll run around, we'll create all that noise, we'll come back home being all sweaty and stinky. Then mama will tell, go take a bath and then only you come. And when we take hot water bath, how do we feel? How do we all feel when we take hot water bath? We feel very good, no? Yes, we'll be like, ma'am, bed full, especially after football coaching. We feel very relaxed. Exactly, our body feels very good, right? We feel fresh and relaxed. Now, what happens when we take a hot water bath? Maza aa jata hai. Exactly. So, every morning also when we take a hot water bath, we might be feeling very lazy. School jana hai abhi. Oh, ma'am, I want to sleep for 2 more minutes and then I'll be good. But then you will go take bath and come out, especially after a hot water bath in the morning, you will be refreshed, right? So that's because there's improved circulation, right? So when you take a hot water bath, it improves your blood circulation. So blood circulates more, which means that oxygen gets transported better to different parts of the body, and as a result you have more energy and you are more refreshed, right? Now of course this circulation of blood is important for getting rid or relieving from muscle cramps. Along with that, a massage also is necessary as it increases the supply of oxygen to different parts, right? Ma'am, but this doesn't happen. See, again, muscle cramps that are there, it will not happen every time. See, understand that muscle cramp will not happen if you are doing anaerobic respiration at all times, right? I mean, in the sense, if you do an heavy exercise activity, or if you're running, or you are, maybe doing some kind of strenuous activity, not like every time you will get muscle cramp. But sometimes when the circulation of blood is not enough, there could be accumulation, right? Yes. Are we clear? Are we all clear? Because students, this particular topic that I explained, accumulation of muscle cramps and anaerobic respiration in humans, difference between aerobic and anaerobic is going to be very, very important, right? They are going to be very important on an examination point of view. Alcohol equation, you need to mainly know it in words, right? So as you can see, glucose is broken down to give us alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy. Are we clear? Are we all clear? Ira Sharma, ATP, you think of it as money. Okay, think of it as how if you want to buy lace, or if you want to buy your favorite chocolate, or if you want to buy your favorite, let's say noodles or something like that, you need to give money, right? They're not going to give it to you for free. So similarly, in our body, for a chemical reaction to happen, they require that energy. And this ATP is like that currency, right? ATP is like that currency, energy currency especially, where if ATP is utilized, it's not like ATP will be given and chemical reaction will happen. No, ATP will get utilized in order to get that reaction to happen. Are we clear? Yes? Lactic acid, I will explain once again. So basically, when there is a temporary deficiency of oxygen in the body, we see that our body switches to anaerobic respiration, and at that time, we see that lactic acid production takes place. Yes? Now we will move on to the more important parts, right? Now I know 20 minutes is over, but I will take 10 more minutes because I need that time, right? So as we all know, if you talk overall about respiration in humans, it takes place in 3 aspects. So the first one is the physical process where the air is entering and going out. The second process is what we understand as exchange of gases. And the third part and the final part is where the, production of energy takes place, right? So as you can all see, the step number 1 here is to, get in that air and give out that air, right? So as we all know, we know that for respiration to happen, because we are aerobes, right? We mainly do aerobic respiration. We need oxygen. Now, where is this oxygen going to come from? Oxygen is a gas which is there in my surrounding. So, oxygen which is there in my surrounding has to come inside my body. How will it come inside my body? Will come in through the process of breathing. So, we see that the process by which air moves inside and outside is what we call as breathing. Now, understand. This is very important. Breathing and respiration are not the same. Breathing is a physical process. Respiration is a chemical process. Pushpa, Our body does not produce ethanol. Understand that. Our body produces lactic acid. It does not produce ethanol. Okay? Yes. So as we all see, breathing is a physical process by which we see that air moves inside and outside the body, right? Now, how exactly does it move inside and outside? Now, it is not that our air just gets into my body and suddenly respiration will happen. There is a proper system in place that helps this process of respiration to happen, which is why we have a whole system in place which is called as human respiratory system. Now, the human respiratory system has various parts. But how does the system start? Can you tell me? So think of the human respiratory system as a road or a path for the air to follow. So how will it start? You can all tell me. No, where will it start from? Exactly, it will start from the nose, right? So we see that it will start from the nose, and we know that nose is a structure that is here that has two openings. What are the two openings? We see that the two openings are called as nostrils. So we see that there are two openings called as nostrils through which my air that is rich in oxygen will enter. Now we see that the nostrils that are there will lead into the next part, which is the nasal cavity or the nasal chamber. Now we see that my nasal cavity or nasal chamber will have hair and it will produce mucus. Now what is the function of this hair and mucus? Very quickly. What is the function of the hair and mucus that is there in the inner lining? Very good, Dave. I'd like to take that doubt in just a bit. Okay. Very good. Exactly. To filter the air. Now it is not that the air that is entering into my body, right? It's pure air. Like my body, just somehow only pure air will enter into my body. Absolutely not. We know that there could be air with some dust particles, unnecessary particles that could all enter. No? Which is why when you take in the air, when you do, you see that there could be dust particles that enter in as well, right? And the hair and mucus is going to filter out any unwanted dust particles that might be there along with it, and it will trap that, right? It will trap it so that we can get rid of it. Now from there we see that so where did we go? We saw that from the nostrils it has gone into the nasal chamber. Now from here it will go into a common opening which is called as pharynx. So if you see, if there is a common opening called as pharynx, which is a common opening for both air and food. Now from here what do we see? It moves on to the next part. So from here it will move on to the next part which is called as the larynx. Now many of you are asking me, ma'am, what is larynx? Larynx is nothing but the voice box. So you see, I am able to talk, and later on in your higher grades, especially in standard 8, when you have sound chapter, in physics you will learn about how we are able to talk, right? We are able to talk, or we are able to produce sound because of the vibration of air, which is why we see that the larynx is present as a part, right? We know that where is larynx? We see that is why larynx is present here. Yes? Okay. So far, are you all clear? So far, are you all with me? Are you all clear? Yes. Ma'am, are we also very good? So now, so far, many of you are asking me, no? Many of you are asking me, ma'am, why are we, do we breathe only oxygen? Or do we breathe nitrogen, carbon dioxide, whatever that is there is present in the air? Understand that so far when I was telling you, when I was using the word take in, take out, I constantly kept saying that we take in air. We cannot selectively take oxygen. Understand that. Our body cannot selectively take oxygen and leave out the remaining gases. So we do take in nitrogen, we do take in that 0.04% of carbon dioxide also. It's just that the air in the surrounding is rich in oxygen when compared to, say, within our body, because our body is utilizing that oxygen for respiration. Are we clear? Now one more thing somebody was asking me is, ma'am, why should we not breathe from our mouth? So we have the ability to breathe from our mouth also, right? I can do also, and I can take in the air. I don't need to necessarily breathe through my nose. But now we know that the nasal chamber is important because it filters out unwanted particles. And if I continuously keep breathing through my mouth, unwanted particles can also enter into my body. So ideally, you should not breathe with your mouth, right? Okay, it is not good for your body. And it's not that air will go to stomach. See, pharynx is a common opening for food and air as well. So even if you breathe through your mouth, it will go to pharynx and reach into your respiratory system. Yes? Questions are left. I know. I'll finish this off fast. Topper, it is adenosine triphosphate. I hope you've got the pronunciation. Yes? Okay. Ma'am, pharynx is windpipe? No. Pharynx is not windpipe. But rather, the trachea is the windpipe. Yes? So, what will happen? From your pharynx, it is a common opening. Right? And we have larynx which is present here. From there, it will go to the windpipe, which is called as the trachea. So, it will go into the windpipe. And now if you see here, it is a long tube-like structure, right? It's a pathway for the air to go, which is surrounded by C-shaped cartilaginous rings that will provide it support. It will give it support. And finally, what do we see? We see that the trachea or the windpipe will branch, forming the bronchi or the bronchus, right? So if I say bronchi, it means the plural. I'm talking about both of it. Bronchus means only one. Okay, and we see that this bronchi will enter into the lungs, as you can see, which are the main respiratory organs, right? And they are very, very important for helping us breathe. Now, as you can see, the lungs that are there are found in the chest region, right? So, we see that the lungs are found in the chest region, or I can say that the lungs are found in the chest cavity, right? And of course, I see that the lungs are protected by a cage-like structure called as rib cage. And of course, we see that at the bottom, the lungs rest on a dome-shaped structure. Can you tell me what is the name of the dome-shaped structure? Yes? What is the name of the dome-shaped structure? Can you all tell me? I want you to give me the answer, then I will write the name of it down. Is it rib cage? Ribs are the cage-like structure which is protecting it. But what is the dome-shaped structure that separates my lungs and the abdomen? Very good. It is the diaphragm, right? So, my diaphragm separates my chest cavity from my abdomen region, my stomach region, right? That's called the abdomen region. I know bronchi is not there in your book. I just give you one piece of extra information. So with this, of course, we see that we know how the air will enter, right? So we know that this is the pathway for entering. So if this is my air that is rich in oxygen, right? So this is my air rich in oxygen. Quickly to revise, where will it go first? First, it will enter through my nostrils, right? From my nostrils, it will go into my nasal cavity or my nasal chamber. From there, where will it go? It will go into my pharynx, right? So, it will go into my pharynx. Now, from my pharynx, where will it go? It will go into my voice box, which is the larynx, right? It will go into my larynx. From larynx, where will it go? It will go into my windpipe, which is also known as trachea. Now, from my trachea will split into something called as bronchi, right? So, we see that this is going to split in forming bronchi, and this bronchi is what will enter into my lungs. Are we clear? Yes? Are we clear? See, students who are pressing and pushing for Menti to happen, you know that in your final exam, they are not going to come and ask you to play Menti. I keep telling you all this. When I am revising and of course when I am teaching the important concepts, you need to pay attention, because if you push me to finish fast, then you are not learning the important topics. Then you've just wasted 40 minutes by not paying attention, right? So you should not. I always tell you this, whenever I bring Menti because I know how much you love it. But at the same time, you need to understand the seriousness of paying attention in class, no? I always tell you that. Because later, you will spend 1 hour, 15 minutes only to know that you've not listened to the explanation and the chapter is still not clear. Yes, which is why I always tell you that this right here is very important that you pay attention. Notes of the class will be provided after this particular session. It will be there on Telegram, okay? I am telling this for all of your good, right? I am telling this for your good, not for my good. Yes, you will benefit out of this. ठीक है. Ma'am, is pharynx and esophagus the same? No, bacha, pharynx is different. I mean, pharynx is a common opening. We see that pharynx can lead into food pipe and windpipe, right? See, our body does not take up nitrogenous gas, right? Our body, if nitrogen enters till the lungs, it goes back out also like that. There is at no point when nitrogen per se is reacting, because often we say nitrogen is an inert gas that is there, right? Okay, ma'am, does air go into lungs or bronchus? From bronchus it will go into lungs, because inside we see that inside the lungs there are these sac-like structures called as alveoli, and here we see that a specific process takes place, which we will discuss. Don't worry. This part is there very little for all of you, which is why I will do the important parts first and then I'll come back to this. Okay? The heart is located between the two lungs. It is located between the two lungs. How is trachea helpful? Because it is the pathway through which your air will move, right? Ma'am, why does food not enter into the lungs? We have a flap-like structure called as epiglottis that makes sure that whenever we swallow food, it will cover this pathway so that food does not enter into it. Larynx is the voice box. Pharynx is a common opening. Okay? Oral cavity is for your mouth. Oral cavity, that is as part of your digestive system. That is very different. Okay? Alveoli, I am going to explain. Don't worry. Now, don't lose track. I am going to come back to alveoli. But students, in the meanwhile, I hope if you're enjoying the class, you've not forget to hit the like button on this video. We should have at least 200 likes before we get to the Menti quiz. Yes? Okay. So now if I come back to this, right? Now we know the pathway. So if you think about it, when I say breathing takes place, it is a physical process by which air moves in and out of the lungs. That is a more better definition. Now the process by which air enters into my body, right, is what we call as inhalation, or it is also called as inspiration. While the process by which air exits my body, it is called as exhalation or expiration, right? Don't think of expiration as something else, right? Or expiration, however you pronounce it, right? So as you can see, we are all clear. Disha, don't be sad, I'll answer. Yes? Bronchus is further divided. It's further divided inside. But that's not there as per CBSE, so I'm not touching base on that, right? Disha, that's a good question for which I do have a slide. I think in 3 slides I'm going to explain your doubt. So please be patient, I'm going to give you the answer, right? Now, of course, one thing you need to know, right? We know that when I say catch a breath or wait, take a deep breath. What is this breath? Breath that is there is basically when I do 1 and 1, right? So as you can see, when I do 1 inhalation and 1 exhalation, that is equal to 1 breath, right? So we know that breathing is a physical process of air entering and exiting, right? We know that air entering into my body is called as inhalation. Air exiting my body is called as exhalation. 1 inhalation plus 1 exhalation is equal to 1 breath. Now, why is this 1 breath important? Because they will ask you exam, or in your examination, they'll ask you something called as breathing rate. Now, what is a breathing rate? Breathing rate is basically the number of times a person breathes in 1 minute. So, if you all, right, if you all take a stopwatch and you just count the number of times you are breathing, right? So, do, right? Take it. From 1 minute, how many times are you doing it? That is going to be the breathing rate, right? And if you see on an average, for an average human at rest, right now, if you are just sitting and watching my class and writing down notes, your average breath that is going to be there would be about 15 to maybe 18 times per minute, right? Or 18 breaths per minute. While on the other hand, when you are exercising, it can go up to 25 breaths or more. So what is the difference between breath and breathing rate? Breath is equal to 1 breath is equal to 1 inhalation plus 1 exhalation. What is breathing rate? Breathing rate is equal to number of breath per minute. Are we all clear with this? Are we all clear? Because they will ask you questions based on this topic of breathing rate. Why is it that our breathing rate increases when we exercise, right? What will happen, or what is the average breathing rate of a person who is at rest? So these are questions which will come in your examination. Ma'am, can we change the rate? You can change the rate. You can have, see, you can breathe. There are different paces of breathing. Now, when you're doing yoga, if you take deep breaths, your breathing rate would become a little lower than normal. Maybe it could be 15, 14 because you are taking deep, long breath. So, even the pace and all of that matters, right? Very good, very good. ठीक है. Now that we understood what is breathing, what are the two types of breathing, what is a breath, what is breathing rate. Now we know everything about breathing. But how exactly are we able to breathe? Now if I ask you, are you breathing or no? Or how many times have you done this? Okay, I have done it. Now how many times have you seen maybe a small puppy or a dog, right? They'll be lying still. They'll be lying still on the road, and if you look at them, they're not moving. So then we get a little scared, no, if something has happened to them, if everything is okay. But then if you notice, you will see their stomach moving up and down, right? We have seen, no, sometimes when somebody's sitting still, not moving, but we see their stomach going up and down, or rather the chest going up and down. We see that and they're like, ha, okay, they're fine. That person or that doggy is just sleeping. How many of you have done this? I'm sure this has happened. No, we've all done it at some point. I've done it for sure, especially when we look at it. I make it a point, right? So we see that we go up and down in that fashion, right? We see that happening. Now, if you were to check if you are breathing or no and you keep it, you would see that your chest is moving up and down. So you do this with me right now. Keep your hand in your chest right now here and just keep breathing. What do we see? We see that there's a front and back motion happening. Now this front and back motion that happens is a way in which we are actually able to breathe. So what exactly happens? We see that during inhalation. So when you breathe, what do you notice? Your chest is moving outside, right? Now this happens because your rib cage is moving slightly upwards and outwards, right? So your rib cage is moving slightly outwards and your diaphragm is moving downwards. So your diaphragm, which is a dome-shaped muscle, it will contract and it will become flat. Your rib will move outside. Now, when both of this happen together, what will happen? We see that space. There is more space inside the body, right? Or more space inside the cavity. So, your air will rush inside. While on the other hand, when you exhale, what will happen? Everything goes back to its original position. So the rib cage moves inward, diaphragm goes back up. Now whatever extra space that was there, it has reduced. So we see that exhalation takes place. So this mechanism of breathing is again important, students, because they can ask you the differences between this. Now, why does stomach move? It's not your stomach moving. It's actually your diaphragm moving. And because your diaphragm is very closely, or your stomach part that is there is just located a little below that, you feel like it's your stomach. But it's actually the diaphragm that is there, right? I will not cancel Menti. I'll make it a point that I take Menti today. Yes, there is a pressure aspect related to it also. There's low pressure, high pressure, but you don't need to go too much into detail of that, right? Yes, okay. Pharynx, Muhammad, is simple. It's a common opening. Ma'am, will the organs change? See, your lungs will expand and contract, but the other organs will remain as it is, right? Ma'am, is breathing same as respiration? By now we know it is not the same, because breathing is just a physical process which involves all of this, while respiration is a more chemical process which is happening inside the cells, right? Yes. Now, once of course we know that this is all about breathing, it's all about how the oxygen has entered all the way till the lungs, right? Now, once it enters inside the lungs, what do we see? We see that there are these sac-like structures called as alveoli. Now, these alveoli that are there, they are like, a bunch of grapes. As you can see, they look like a bunch of grapes. Now, these alveoli, they are richly supplied with blood vessels, right? So, they are richly supplied with blood vessels. That means they're all surrounded by blood vessels. Now here what will happen? Here we see that this oxygen that is there. Now from the outside it has reached all the way inside my lungs till the alveoli. Now from here it will enter into the blood and then the blood will transport it to different parts of the body. Now once it reaches different parts of the body, we know that the cells will take up this oxygen, glucose is also transported, then energy will be produced. Now all this, when energy is produced, carbon dioxide is also produced. So carbon dioxide has to be given out. So same route through which the oxygen came out, the carbon dioxide will go back in the reverse route that is there. Yes? Now somebody, Disha, was asking me, ma'am, how do we know that carbon dioxide is given out during exhalation? So that is where our lime water test comes into the picture. So if you take lime water and you blow into the lime water, right, when you do, right? So when you're blowing out, what happens? When you are blowing out, you are giving out exhaled air. And when you give out this exhaled air, we see that this lime water turns milky, right? There's a change in color. This change in color happens because lime water will react, right? It will react with carbon dioxide in order, yes, in order to give us something called as calcium carbonate. That of course happens only because of this reaction. That's why it becomes whitish. So when compared to inhaled air, we see that exhaled air has almost 100 times more carbon dioxide. That means if inhaled air has about, let's say, 0.04%, exhaled air that is there is going to have 4.4% of carbon dioxide. It is 100 times more. Now Akarsh is asking me, ma'am, how exactly, right? How exactly is the oxygen entering into the blood? It is happening by a process called as diffusion, where they go from high concentration to low concentration. Yes? So with this, everybody, we are done with the main part, right? Now, of course, quickly to go through breathing in other organisms. So we know that in the case of cockroaches, there are structures called as spiracles, right? So we know that there are small openings which are present on the side of their body, which allow for the entry of air and exit of air. Now, of course, from here, from the spiracles, it will go into the tracheal trunk and they will diffuse into different parts of the body. While, of course, once respiration takes place in the same route, it will go out, right? Now understand that in other organisms they don't have elaborate structures like us, which is why instead they have structures like spiracles and so on, right? Next up we have earthworms. Now of course we know that in the case of earthworms they have moist skin. That means that their body is surrounded by slimy skin. And because they have this moist slimy skin, we see that air will move inside and outside the body, right? Then of course in the cases of fishes which are found underwater, we know that they have specialized structures called as gills. Gills are nothing but they are projections of their skin, right? Now we know that what they do, they take in the dissolved oxygen. So the oxygen is found dissolved in the water. They take it in and we see that it will reach the gills, right? Now the gills are richly supplied with blood vessels. So from here then they will transport it to different parts and whatever carbon dioxide is there, it will come back to the gills and then they will push it out, right? Yes. Combustion is basically burning, right? When you combust something, it is burning that takes place. While diffusion is movement of substances. Yes? Ma'am, why don't they have a structure like human beings? Because if you see, in the case of fishes which are found underwater, oxygen does not exist as a gas. But rather this oxygen is found dissolved in water. So they need a mechanism that is going to help them take this oxygen all the way from the water. That is one point that you need to understand, right? Okay. Now next up, right, we have breathing in frogs. Now frogs are amphibians, right? So frogs that are there are basically amphibians. That means what? They can live on land and they can live on water as well, or they can survive in water. So when they're on land, we see that they have the ability to use their lungs. While when they're in water, we see that they use their moist skin in order to get the oxygen that is available. Now, of course, next up we have gaseous exchange that takes place, right? Now, in the case of plants, we know that it's not that plants only do photosynthesis. Plants also do respiration. And just like for photosynthesis, how they take carbon dioxide from the surrounding and it enters into through the stomata. Even for respiration, oxygen enters through the stomata, reaches different parts of the body, and then of course we see that it is able to reach different cells. No problem, Raina, no problem. You can come back and watch the video. So then they will ask you, right, differences between respiration and photosynthesis, right? Now, photosynthesis is a process that happens in the presence of light, which means it will happen only during the day, while this can happen both during day and night as well. Now, don't think that it will happen only in the night. It will happen in the day also. Now, second thing, we know that here oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out. While here we see that carbon dioxide is given in and oxygen is given out, right? So these are the few basic things that you can write down. Ma'am, are ribs soft because they are breathing? No. Ribs are hard structures. But there are these special muscles. Somebody was asking me, there are special muscles called as intercostal muscles that have the ability to help them move, right? It's slight movement. It is not complete movement, okay? Yes. Now, of course, we know that it happens in the roots also, and we see that there are roots also in airs. Whenever there are air spaces in the soil, we see that roots are able to take up the gases directly and give it out. Disha was asking me, ma'am, what if it gets clogged? If it gets clogged, we know that there are brief mechanisms. So there might be some ways in which they may briefly be able to survive, but eventually the roots will die if it remains water clogged for a long period of time. So students, with this I am done. I know I told you 20 minutes of class and I almost took 1 hour. But you understand that this chapter is very important, right? And you know that in your examination, nobody is going to come and ask you, ma'am, mentee. But abhi at this point, have you all understood the concept? Now I'll see how many people paid attention in my class and how many people were just waiting for mentee to come. Hello, Anika. Hello. Now I can see that there are very few likes on this video. Ranjit sir, can you tell me how many likes we have? Yes, I need minimum 150 likes. Yes? Ma'am, why don't plants take up nitrogen directly? Because plants don't have the ability to use the gaseous nitrogen. See, when you talk about carbon dioxide or water, they can use the carbon dioxide or oxygen. They're able to utilize it. But with nitrogen, they are not able to utilize, right? Kusuma, go to this website. So, go to another tab, right? And go to Google Chrome, or you can use any other website and type www.mentee.com. When you type this mentee.com, we see that they will ask you for a mentee code. So, for the mentee code, you can type in this code 827111044. Ma'am, give some more examples of amphibians. Salamander is an example. Yes? Okay. Ma'am, why do we breathe heavily after doing exercise? Akshata, that is because we breathe heavily, especially after doing exercise, because see, our body switched to anaerobic respiration, right? When we were exercising heavily. Now, after we finish the exercise, our body wants to now switch to normal way, right? So, in order to get all that oxygen requirement, what do? We breathe heavily so that more oxygen is made available. Samriddhi, intercostal muscles are those muscles which are found between the ribs of our rib cage. Ma'am, what is that slimy thing? It's called the moist skin, right? Yes. Ma'am, when we hold our breath, will something happen to our heart? See, for a brief period of time, we are able to hold our breath because circulation is still happening. But if you look at it for a long period of time, first of all, it's a mechanism by our body to make sure that we don't hold our breath for too long also. But at the same time, if you see, nothing is per se will happen to the heart. Maybe the heart rate may come down a little bit. Ma'am, when food enters, it will artificially choke. Yes, we will start choking because it is going into the wrong pipe. And food, if it enters down my respiratory system, it will block my pathway and that can be dangerous for us, right? Ma'am, when we are asleep, do we do respiration? Yeah, we do. Rate will be less, that's all. Ma'am, do plants take in oxygen? They do. Yes. Okay. So I have 10 questions, students. Kavya, diffusion is movement of substances from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration, right? Okay. Ma'am, what is produced during anaerobic? Amrita, lactic acid. What is breathing? Ragini, when did you join class? Breathing is a physical process. Ma'am, trachea and human body and trachea and cockroach is different. See, that is called as tracheal trunk. Okay. Cockroach may, if I have to tell you more technically, it is called as tracheal trunk. Shruti, it should open in Google Chrome. Pakka. 15 minutes. Yeah. Diffusion. Brownian movement. Whoa. Such. Brownian movement are loose, random movement that happens. Diffusion is basically movement from a region of high concentration to low concentration. Now for students who are not able to join Menti, you can give me the answers in the live chat. So I can see that many of you are here already. Very good, all of you. Very, very good. So shall we get started? Menti is basically a live platform. It's a third-party platform that we use in order to play live quizzes, right? Always ready. We don't respire through gills. Fishes do. Esophagus, foot pipe. I'll answer the remaining questions. First question, all of you. The process of breakdown of food in the cell is known as dash. Breakdown process, cellular respiration, food breakdown, or none of the above. Now, I need all of you to give me the answer to this. Shout out to chemistry wale bhaiya. Yes. See, all of you should give me the answer. Abhi, now no explanation will happen. I will only give you question, answer, we will do this. Very good. Misclicks I will be okay with, but students, you know that cellular respiration that is there is basically the process of breakdown of food inside the cell in order to release energy in the form of ATP. Very good. Yes. Moving on to question number 2, everybody. I hope you've all written your names. So question number 2 on your screens now. Vedi Patel, please ask me. Yes. An example of an aerobe is dash. Cat, dog, human being, all of this. Class 6 students, we might have to push your class by 15 minutes. I hope you don't mind. Please ask me your doubt. Students, I knew it. I gave you an example of an aerobe as human being. So we have decided that aerobes are only human beings. That means what? You have not paid attention properly or you have misunderstood what I said, right? What is an aerobe? An organism that has the ability to do aerobic respiration. And normally aerobic respiration is done only by human beings where they take oxygen. Does it mean that dogs and cats are not breathing? They are also breathing. So if they are breathing, what will happen? Then they will also take in air. No, they will also take in air rich in oxygen. So dog, cat and humans, all of them, right? All of them here have the ability to do aerobic respiration. And if they all do aerobic respiration, then we know that they are all aerobes. Are we all clear? Yes? Are we clear with this? Vedi Patel, I will answer. Give me 1 minute. Kavya, I have already answered your question on diffusion. Okay, read the question. Rafai 8271104. Can we have the link pinned? Ma'am, how much oxygen is inhaled? 16%, all not 16%, 21%. See, how much ever air you take in, that will have that much percentage, right? Vedi, cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance which is present inside the cell, that is present between the cell membrane and nucleus where all the cell organelles are found. Sometimes some chemical reactions also take place. Yes? Question number 3, everybody, on your screens now. Name the type of respiration which causes muscle cramps. Okay. Is it going to be aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, both A and B, or none of the above? Vedi, I have answered your question, bacha. Just rewind 2 seconds, you will be able to get the answer. I've explained it to you. Very good. When do we get muscle cramps? When there's a temporary deficiency of oxygen and accumulation of lactic acid. That happens during anaerobic respiration in the body. Yes, Alice. Question number 4 on your screens now. Name the term which means taking in of air rich in oxygen into the body. Is it exhalation, inhalation, breathing or respiration? What is the answer? Taking in air that is rich in oxygen. Vedi, I have answered your question. Sometimes I feel like none of you listen to me in class. No offense, I have explained it to you already, that's why. Everybody has given me the answer. Very good. It is inhalation. So inhalation is the process by which we breathe in air that is rich in oxygen. While when we breathe out air, it is rich in carbon dioxide because it's 100 times more carbon dioxide, which is why we say that that process is exhalation. Now moving on to question number 5, after which we will have the leaderboard. Yes, Nishika. Next up. Earthworms breathe through dash. Easy peasy question this is. Moist skin, dry skin, trachea or skin? What is the answer to this? Hello Preetika, welcome to the class. Very good, all of you, very good. See, I can see some misclicks happening. Now, like I said, right? Moist skin is the correct answer. Now, you'll tell me, ma'am, skin is also correct. If you give me skin as the answer, I'll give you 0 marks. Why? Because skin is not specific. Skin could be dry skin, moist skin. But we know that especially in the case of earthworms, they have a slimy, moist skin that allows for the diffusion of gases. Which is why the correct, accurate answer is moist skin. In your examination, there are times when you get this question for 1 mark. Name the following. And in these cases, these are keywords in biology which sometimes you might miss out on and you will end up losing marks, right? So with this, of course, we will have the first leaderboard. Yes, no problem, Vedi. Always glad to help you. So on top, of course, I see some kind of competition happening on Menti for some reason. Christine is on top with 4,905 points, followed by Tiger, Akash, challenge win. That means some challenge is going on amongst all the students here. Austin, Subhamshi, Ankit, Gaurav, Girish, Desale, biology god. Whoa. Atulya, Anand, Karan, Tishan, Prashant, class 7 and Harshit Verma from class 8. Well done students, well done. Very proud of all of you. Very good, Madhunika. Yes, Nish, we will be getting the worksheets very soon. If you want the worksheets, let us know in the comments below, right? See, whatever your rank be at this point, please, whatever your rank is right now, just make sure that all of you write your ranks down. So even if you get 100 and 2000 place also, you write 2000 and keep it. Now by the end of the next 5 questions, you should be able to get at least 2000. Say if you do 1999 also, that is progress, because progress and success does not happen overnight. Progress and success take lot of effort, so day by day you need to take 1 step above, right? Okay, so let's move on everyone. Let's move on to question number 6. Now let me tell you all one thing. 6 to 10, right? These are going to be some level up questions, right? So these are going to be some level up Olympiad level questions. So I hope all of you are prepared for these questions. Yes? Are we ready? Hello, Ishansha. Okay. Question number 6 on your screens now. In the cells, oxygen is used to break down glucose into what? Are we breaking down glucose to get energy, carbon dioxide, water? Are we breaking down glucose to get fat, alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy, or lactic acid, water and energy? Easy peasy question. Very good. Correct answer is energy, carbon dioxide and water. So we know that especially when oxygen comes into the picture. Rani, you were asking me this. What is aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration is when glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen to give us carbon dioxide, water and energy. Easy peasy. Now moving on to question number 7, everyone, on your screens now. Yes? Okay. Question number 7 here is, a person put warm water in an aquarium, thinking that the fish would be more comfortable inside it. However, the fishes died. What could be the possible reason? Now read the options, right? Take some time, read the options and give me the answer to this. Like I said, these are all Olympiad level questions, so they can be one level higher than normal. Very good, students. I can see many of you got the answer. Now, let's look at this. When you add warm water, right? And here when you're saying we're talking about boiling water, the percentage of dissolved oxygen decreases, right? So we know that especially when it comes to, and you learn this in chemistry, there are certain substances which dissolve at a certain temperature. Now, if the temperature varies, then we see that they can either dissolve out of it or they may no longer dissolve, right? Now, here in this case, what do we see? When we add warm water, the percentage of oxygen decreases. Now, if percentage of oxygen decreases, they cannot respire, no energy, which is why in this case we see that they will not survive. Not because amount of carbon dioxide increases. It's not because carbon dioxide percentage increases or not because they can't bear extreme heat. As a matter of fact, fishes that are there are said to be cold-blooded animals, which means that their body has the ability to adapt to the surrounding temperature. So if the surrounding temperature is cold, they can modify their body temperature to survive. Similarly, if it is too hot, they're able not to extreme heat, but if it's slightly higher than normal, they're still able to survive. Which is why correct answer here is option A. Okay, moving on to question number 8, students, on your screens now. Question number 8 here is, choose the correct option. Statement 1 says that hemoglobin is present in RBCs that help in transport of oxygen from lungs to different parts of the body. Statement 2 says that hemoglobin combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. Now I know this is little tricky, this is little high-end concept. So in case if you're not able to get this answer correctly, it is okay. Because this particular question will link your chapter respiration to your next chapter, that is transportation in living organisms. So this is a little bridge of sorts, I would say. Class 8, my class is happening on Thursday for class 8. Class 8 students, Thursday ko class hoga on conservation. Very good, all of you. I can see many of you got the answer. Now, statement 1 spoke about how hemoglobin is necessary. What is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is, it's okay if you got wrong. It's okay, don't worry. So, hemoglobin is basically it's a pigment, right? It's a type of protein, or you could say it's a pigment that is found in the red blood cells of our body. Right? So we see that it is found in the red blood cells of our body, and that is what gives the red color to our blood. Now, apart from just giving red color, we also see that this hemoglobin will combine with oxygen. So we know that if oxygen is getting transported to different parts of my body, it's actually my red blood cell which is doing this. And in my red blood cell, it is my hemoglobin which is doing this. So my hemoglobin is responsible for transporting my oxygen to different cells. Now, how will it transport? Not like it's some vehicle which is going to carry it and go. But rather, we see that it will form a chemical compound and then it will transport it. That is what we call as oxyhemoglobin. Now, these are for students who are writing Olympiads, right? Olympiads or foundation exams. All of this will be very, very helpful for all of you especially, right? It will be very helpful. Moving on to question number 9. Yes? आप फिर live कब आओगे? Now next week only I will come live. Next week, Tuesday. Next week, you have some interesting stuff coming up actually. I don't want to reveal it now, but you have some very interesting things coming your way. The small openings in the body of a cockroach are called as dash. Hole, spiracle, track, pores. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Very good, all of you. Very good. So correct answer here, of course, is going to be option B, which is spiracles. Now we will move on to the next question. Now students, the next question needs you to answer this paragraph. So what will happen? Your mentee options will be based on this order. So you need to write down the given paragraph, wherein you have to say, sometimes during strenuous activities such as long distance running, your body cannot get enough dash. Write everything down. Dash to produce the required energy. To get the additional energy, dash respiration occurs within your muscle cells. In this process, there is partial breakdown of dash in order to produce dash, which is the accumulation. So many dashes are there. I'm not reading all the dashes. You just take 2 minutes and write this down. There will come a poll. For the poll, this paragraph will not be there. So how will you answer? You need to write this down. Class 9th timetable. Next week, the timetable will change. So we'll give you a proper timetable. You'll get a timetable by the end of the week. Same for all of you. Dolly, why do I feel like Saurabh sir has leaked this? Why do I feel like you know this from Saurabh sir? Tell me if he told you. Did he tell you that? Have you all written down the answer? Have you all written it down? Shall I give you the poll? Shall I give you the polls? Are we ready? Okay. Ma'am, do we have to write? No, don't write it here. Mentee mein you write. Ma'am, no. Please, because the options mein paragraph will not come. I'll give you 1 more minute. Class 6, I'm coming. I know, I'll be there soon. Sir will only leak all this, I know. That's why I did not guess anyone else. Okay. Hope you've all written. Going to the options. Oh, it's there in this also. So, no, not a problem. Identify the correct answer. Sakshi, timetable of class 7, we will be giving you a timetable by the end of this week, right? So you'll get a proper timetable by the end of the week. Don't worry. But normally at 7 p.m. you will have 7th grade classes. Very good, students. Very good. See, sometimes during strenuous activities such as long distance running, your body cannot get enough oxygen to produce the required energy. To get additional energy, anaerobic respiration takes place within your muscle cells. In this process, there's a partial breakdown of glucose to produce lactic acid that results in the accumulation of our body that ultimately results in muscle cramps. So these are the correct answers. So of course, with this, we are going to have a look at the final leaderboard, right? Sooth Singh, there are various ways in which you are able to, where woody stems are able to do this. Very good, Gaurav Girish. Biology God, you've come on top at 9,623 points. I have Tweeto, Navyashri, Ishika, somebody's name I'm not able to read, Akarsh, Austin, Atulya, Karan and Surya who have made it to the top 10. So I hope all of you are excited. I hope all of you enjoyed today's class. I know today's class went a little longer than when we expected it to be, but I hope you had fun. So now, of course, students, quick homework question. Why do we sneeze a lot when we inhale dust-laden air? So this is your homework question for today. Let me know in the comments. And as you know, next week we will be announcing the homework heroes or the homework warriors. So thank you so much for being a part of today's class. I hope you enjoyed. And as you all know, if you did, don't forget to let us know in the comments. And if you like the way we teach, hit the subscribe button as well. Hoping to see you all soon again. Up until then, students, take care. Lots of love to you all and bye-bye.